we developed a theory with that we call the theory of socially sanctioned reproduction. A lot is being discussed these days about low fertility levels, right? Brazil has had fertility level below replacement, which demographers say it's 2. For a while now. The US also has below fertility rate. And what we hear is governments trying to promote fertility, right? Policies that promote fertility. So we can think of gender policies, we can think of women's labor force participation policies, we can think of like policies that also give bonuses for families who have children, maternity leave, etc., etc. One thing that's very important is to also consider that fertility intentions change throughout people's life courses, and they change throughout their life courses, but also according to the macrostructural conditions that are happening, right? What we saw in the case of Brazil during the Zika epidemic is that not only fertility intentions declined, but also fertility rates declined, right? Birth rates declined at the time in the country. And there was variation according to socioeconomic status, as well as the place, the geographic place. So all those aspects are very important when we talk about fertility, right? But what is the most important aspect is to really study and try to understand what are the motivations for people, for women, to continue to want to have children. And when they have children, to be able to have the care that they need to meet their desire, their intention with what really, really happens, right? In the best way possible to support women and families, and not only one specific kind of women or family, but all kinds of families and all kinds of women or individuals of people who can get pregnant. And that's what we hope that with DZC, what we are doing is to contribute to providing the best scientific evidence and empirical evidence and theoretical evidence on that. One of the analyses that we conducted within the DZC project is we developed an experiment in which we asked women whether they would advise specific profiles of hypothetical women with 4 very specific attributes, whether they would advise these women to get pregnant or not during Zika, and to get pregnant or not during COVID. And the 4 attributes are 2, they are favorites of demographers and 2 favorites of sociologists. So it really synthesizes me and my training and the way I think. So they are number of children, whether women have had children or not, number of children, age, race, and occupational status. And we did a conjoint experiment in which we varied those 4 attributes randomly, right? And so in the analysis, what we did was to see what were the factors that mattered for giving or not advice for women, approval or not for women to have a baby during those periods of time. And what we find is that, sure enough, women who have a lower SES position are the ones who receive the lowest level of advice to get pregnant. And if we go one step further and we interact SES with race, we find that it really is women of low SES and who are Black, so Black low SES women are the ones who really receive the lowest approval for pregnancy during those times. And going one step further, we also look at the characteristics of the respondents, and what we find is that it's really white women are the ones who give those low SES Black women the least advice or the least probability of being advised to get pregnant, whereas their Black counterparts or their Black peers, they give the same advice for Black or white women or high or low SES women to get pregnant. So we are analyzing this in terms of social processes, in terms of othering, and in terms of discrimination, one more level of discrimination that specifically low SES Black women face. In addition to all of the ones that we already know that they face, they also face now, we find in this very unique and innovative analysis that childbearing norms or childbearing approval, they receive the lowest level of approval. And again, that comes from white women. And if we think that the US and Brazil are very similar in terms of how the social fabric of those countries is organized. This is a finding that really transposes boundaries, country boundaries, right? And can be applied to other and tested in other places. We developed a theory with that we call the theory of socially sanctioned reproduction. If we think that the total fertility rate is very low in these countries and in many countries in the world, and governments have been trying to promote women having children and higher fertility rates and etc. But if you think about what kind of fertility is being promoted, it's a very specific type of fertility. It's a very specific kind of family, right? And what our paper does, what this analysis does, is to show that there is one additional level of stratification that should be looked at, especially in times of low fertility.